Welcome to Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm your host, Jen Mentesana. On this show, we help busy moms and entrepreneurs find more passion and purpose in their daily lives through inspiring stories and interviews. Welcome back, everyone, to Where Passion Meets Purpose. On this week's show, we are going to do something different, and I'm going to do a little one-on-one conversation with you about a topic that I am super passionate about and something that has completely changed my life in the last, 5 years probably or so. And that is the discussion about your relationship with money, abundance, and manifesting. So I don't know if how many of you are familiar with manifestation, if you've heard of that term before. A lot of people say it's kind of woo-woo, if you will, and I certainly would have thought that a few years ago myself. But since I have incorporated manifestation into my life, it has completely changed my life, and I can't wait to share with you how it worked for me and how it could possibly work for you if you're not familiar with it already. So before we dive into manifestation and the idea of living in abundance, I want to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with money. What was your upbringing like? What were the stories that you were told in your house about money and the relationships that your parents had with money or the people around you? I know for me, I didn't grow up in a household of scarcity. I grew up very fortunate. I had a home in a nice neighborhood. My father was a successful attorney. My mom was a school teacher, and then she became a stay-at-home mom once I was born, and my brothers. And she stayed home with me and my brothers for a very long time, up until probably we were in high school. And so I really had the kind of quintessential 1950s mentality, lifestyle, if you will, on the outside. But on the inside, the relationship with money and how it impacted our family was, if I'm looking back on it, to be honest, fascinating. My dad grew up in a very, strict Jewish household where money was important and status was important. And his father was an attorney and a judge, and his brother and sister became attorneys and judges as well. Actually, his sister is still an attorney. But it was very important at a very early age for them to have status and success, and they all went to very good schools. And so that was kind of the mentality in my household growing up as well. But the interesting thing was that status and success and money didn't necessarily relate to safety in my house. There was this environment in my home growing up that I felt like at any moment we could lose money or not have enough. I think my dad always created this environment like money doesn't grow on trees and it shouldn't be, you have to work really hard, and he felt very taken advantage of. And in our household, it was just money was kind of this negative undertone. And I grew up knowing that we had enough, that we were safe, that life was good. But I had this undertone and this undercurrent of this almost negative relationship with money. And it was, on the outside, you would never assume that. So never assume just because somebody has a lot and has a nice cushion and lifestyle that they're necessarily lucky or fortunate. Sometimes that comes with a lot of baggage too. So keep that in mind. So as I grew up, I definitely had that undercurrent. And then when I graduated from college and my parents divorced, and I was on my own, and my dad kind of had told me, "You're on your own. I'm not paying your bills," this kind of thing. I really kicked into survival mode, and money became this thing that almost controlled me to a certain point. And I believed truly that if I didn't have money, I couldn't survive, that I was going to, if I didn't make enough money, that I was going to, live on the street, be poor. And so it became this constant struggle and survival mentality for 12 or 15 years of my adult life, where I was constantly chasing the dollar. And I think I've mentioned this on previous episodes. And I tell you that story because I want you to understand that everybody has a different relationship with money. Some people who grow up with, less than and live in a household where, the parents were barely scraping by, but they had so much love and an attitude of abundance that it didn't really matter what they had on the outside. And so it's really important that you check in with yourself about what your relationship with money is, because once you understand that, you can figure out how to create a mentality of abundance and let the old patterns and the old thoughts of how you grew up, if they're not serving you anymore, go away completely. Let them go. They don't serve you anymore, and actually take on a new idea and identity and relationship with money. So that's my first thing about money. And we can certainly go into that. And I will have information on my website after this episode airs to talk about this relationship with money, because I really do think it makes a huge impact on you and your perception of your worthiness, your perception of your level of success in life, and your perception of your value, how you look at money. And I have, since in the last 5 or 6 years, been able to turn my relationship with money completely around, and money no longer controls me. Money is now a tool that I use to do the things that I want to do in life. It is a gift that I use to share with the people that I care about. I live in a place of abundance. I live in a place of joy, and money is an opportunity to do the things that I want to do to help others in this world as well. So it's completely shifted my life, this relationship with money, and how I've chosen to look at it. So when I talk about the word abundance, I kind of want to share that being in abundance isn't necessarily, hundreds of $1,000s in your bank account. Living in abundance is really about the way that you feel about your environment around you, how abundant you actually feel. So it can mean that you wake up in the morning and you feel abundant because your home feels safe and you enjoy your space and you have food in your refrigerator and you have, the means to live a quality lifestyle. That is the idea of abundance. So it's about a feeling and an idea that you create for yourself. And once you can start to adapt to the idea of living in abundance, then money kind of flows and comes into your life more easily. It's like money is actually an energy. And so if you look at it like that, and you look at money flows easily and freely in my life, then you no longer have this mentality about scarcity. And for me, I started to think about this. I mean, I was in a situation several years ago where we were struggling financially, my husband and I, in our business after COVID. And I'll be sharing more about that story as well. But we were struggling financially. And I just said, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of living like the shoe's always going to drop, that the other shoe's going to drop. I'm sick of living like, when's the next big opportunity coming in? How are we going to pay our bills next month? How are we going to pay our mortgage? I was tired of worrying about that. And I just decided I've got to get a handle on this relationship with money. And that's when it shifted for me. And I started to look at money as a tool that I can use, and that it's something that comes in and out of the world, and it's used all over the world, and there's abundance in money everywhere. There is plenty of money and everyone has access to it, but you have to believe that you are worthy of living in abundance. And I cannot stress that enough. It is so important to trust that you are worthy and that you have everything you need in your power to make as much money as you want, and that money is not a bad thing. Money isn't something that we look at as people who have it are good, or people who don't are bad, or people who have money or too much money are bad and they must have done something wrong because they have so much money. I think there's this philosophy in our culture about money that is really unhealthy, and it's actually not how money works. The way that society looks at people who have wealth versus people who don't have wealth is really antiquated and not true. Money is flowing all over the universe. And if you believe that you have the opportunity to step into abundance, you can. And so it's about shifting your mindset, working through those limiting beliefs of how you grew up, believing that you can have a life full of abundance. And once you can step into that, you can start manifesting. And this is my favorite part because it's kind of like a game. Once you start to feel more abundant and actually live in that energy of abundance, you can start to think about things that you want, that you experiences that you want to have, and you can actually call them into your life. And that's all manifesting is. It is literally feeling the emotion of having it already. And then slowly the universe delivers it to you because it's all energy. And once you understand that, you can literally have anything you want in life. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of naysayers out there, and there's, strategies and logic and definitely financial, gurus out there who will tell you that you have to have this much money in your bank account to be able to afford this car, and you have to have this much to be able to afford this house. And yes, on paper, that is true. But if you believe in abundance and you trust that the money comes easily and naturally, and it will flow to you if you are living in abundance, then you'll be able to have that house, and you'll be able to have that car, or go on that trip, or buy your kid that car, or pay for college, or whatever it is that you want to have in this lifetime. But you need to start to live in abundance, and then you can start manifesting those things. I'm going to tell you a quick story about manifestation. I might have two good ones, actually. The first one is not long before we had to close our Hermosa Beach restaurant, and we were just struggling financially in our business. My husband and I, had always been in love with this part of California called Santa Ynez Valley. And it's a beautiful place outside of Santa Barbara. And it's in the valley of Santa Barbara and wine country. And it's absolutely beautiful. I grew up going there as a kid and riding horses and just family trips. That's what we did. And I loved it so much. And I started taking my husband there. Gosh, I think we honeymooned there. So I had always known that there was a part of me that wanted to have a home there. And we started looking at houses just for fun. And I put it on my vision board that we will own a house in Santa Ynez. And I mean, I took clippings and anything that I can find about the ideal little farmhouse, nothing big and extravagant, but this little farmhouse that I envisioned, and I put it on my vision board, and I kind of left it and said, we'll have that one day. I'm not worried about it. And I put that out there in the universe, and literally within a year, we had our dream house. No logical reason why we had that. Financially, it did not make sense, but it worked out. The universe aligned and it worked out in our favor. And we were able to get our dream home in Santa Ynez, California, that we still own today, and that I'm taking 7 women to and hosting a retreat next weekend. I am so proud and honored to be able to do that in this home that we manifested and created. And I can't wait to tell all those women that story. The second story I'm going to tell you is about something that happened just recently to me. I was in the middle of deciding whether or not I was going to invest in my business further with a program about getting on more stages and speaking and building out my keynote. And it was a pretty big investment. And I was kind of trying to decide between spending my money on one thing or another and working through, all of my beliefs about money. I knew that I had the money. I knew it wasn't going to be an issue. It was just more like, should I pull the trigger or not? And I mean to tell you, my gut told me, just do it, Jen. Don't worry about it. The money will come. Within 2 minutes of paying for that program, I got 2 speaking engagements booked. Emails came across my inbox with requests for me to be the keynote speaker at those events. I can't make this stuff up, you guys. Once you start to build your relationship with abundance and with manifestation, the universe delivers. And I want you to know this is absolutely the truth. And I am an example of living in abundance now and understanding manifestation and how it works. So if you want to understand more about this, please DM me, reach out to me on my social media, Jen Mentesana. Gosh, I gotta look at my Instagram handle to remember that. It gets so bad when you don't look at your stuff all the time and you don't realize what your own Instagram handle is. But anyway, I'll put it in the show notes. Point being is that I'm jenmentesana.com. You can email me through my website and let's talk. I want to help you manifest the life that you deserve, the career that you deserve, the home that you deserve. You deserve all the things in the world, and you can have everything you want in this life, and it's okay. And it doesn't mean that you have to work so hard to get what you want. Yes, working hard is important, and creating value is important, and living in passion and purpose and giving back, and all of those things are important. And I want to be clear that that is what will give you fulfillment, not money and not abundance. I mean, abundance is a lifestyle that you live in and choose to live in, but the things that give you fulfillment aren't usually things, right? And so I want to be clear that that's not what I'm talking about. But if you want to change and shift your relationship with money, live in abundance, and start to manifest the life you deserve, please reach out to me. I do want to talk to you about this. It's changed my life immensely, and I want that to happen for you too. Okay, thank you so much for joining today. I can't wait to connect with you all. And I'm sorry about the Instagram handle. I'll get it in the show notes. So be sure to scroll down once you're done with this episode if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. Otherwise, check me out on my website, jenmentesana.com. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you again for listening to Where Passion Meets Purpose. If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe and download it so you don't miss an episode every single week. And if you think you have a friend who might benefit from listening, please share it with them as well. If you'd like to contact me, you can always reach me through email on my website at jenmentesana.com and my social media, jen_mentesana. And you can DM me there and I'll always respond, and we can connect about topics on the show or anything else you'd like to discuss. Thanks again for tuning in.